espero que nadie se ofenda, pero hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo.
Balcão da área, deu para Yaremchuk, cruzou o Gilberto, que confusão, vai ser o primeiro, tirou para dentro! Já rua! Marca Darwin, é Benfica! Ele vai atirar! Absolutamente fenomenal da parte de Otamendi, vai errar, fez o alto para o golo, chapelou, tirou para dentro! Voltava o golo do Ribatejano, é Benfica!
Só nós sentimos isso.
Hello. Welcome to episode 105. Hopefully my audio is good. You guys can hear me good. No issues. Doesn't sound like I'm underwater.
Hello. Yeah, we can hear you.
So good.
Welcome. Boa noite. Welcome, as they say in German. We need to get used to some German. I think that's how you say it. Tonight, episode 105, Wounded and Empty-Handed. The recap of another disastrous season. The finale of season 2 of Cantinho Benfiquista podcast English edition. We had to reschedule a couple of times due to a couple of different personal things, but we're here to finish it off and face the music. Those of you who are watching us, feel free to call in. I'm going to put a link in the chat across the various platforms. You can join us and you can give us your thoughts on what you think this season was like. What do you expect for next season? Vent, share your thoughts, give us your opinions. Have at it. Today I have myself, Bill, and Oscar. Gentlemen, how are we?
Hey, boys.
Very good. It's been a long time, guys.
Ready for
It's been a while. Yeah.
Ready to close this chapter and move on?
Absolutely.
It's been a painful chapter, to say the least. Today we will do a quick 2021-2022 recap, and then we will hand out some awards. Some are good, some are bad. And then at the end, we will do a rating system. We will rate each player in the squad that had more than 5 appearances from 1 to 5, 5 being great, 1 being sometimes good, sometimes shit, as Gattuso would say. And then we will decide if we would keep, sell, or loan that player. And how you decide it, it can be what you think is going to happen or what you do or what you would do. It's totally up to you. You can choose how you want to approach it. Those of you who are watching, obviously join the conversation, give us your thoughts in the chat. Or again, I'm about to post a link. So at any point, if you guys want to jump in, you can join with just audio. You can join from your mobile phone, your tablet. You can join with just audio. You can do video, whatever you would like to do. Para a malta que esteja a ver em português, hoje é o último episódio do nosso Cantinho Benfiquista em inglês. Por isso, esteja à vontade de comentar em português. Também percebemos português, por isso podemos abordar os vossos comentários. Mas hoje é o podcast English. And Tiago says, good fight this year, guys. It's a typo. It's supposed to say Roubadinho, not Dubardinho. Your Siri's all messed up on your phone. You might have an Android. He might be an Android guy. 2021-2022. A season that was capped off with Porto winning the Taça de Portugal and the Campeonato. 91 points, 24 wins, 4 draws, 1 loss. Sporting in second with 27 wins, 4 draws, 3 losses, 85 points. And Benfica finishes third once again with 74 points. 78 goals scored, 30 against, 23 wins, 5 draws, 6 losses. When we compare that to last season, let me just bring this up. We were 2 points worse this year than we were last year. And we had a better goal difference this year by 6 goals than we did last year. So not doing very well. We invested a lot. We had a new manager halfway through the season. A lot to talk about. But Oscar, I'll start with you. How would you, if somebody had to ask you, how would you sum up this past season? What would you say to them?
Well, I think it's a combination of the last 2 seasons has been terrible. So that's my word for what Benfica did.
Terrible.
Terrible. But I can give you some pros and cons if you guys want me to go.
Yeah,
through
let's
them.
hear. Let's see.
I have 3 pros and 2 pages full of cons. So if you guys are so
let's hear the pros.
The pros. We made a run of the Champions League. All right,
Okay.
that hasn't happened in a while. So going to the quarterfinals is definitely a pro, and any Portuguese team can be proud of that. We beat Sporting Alvalade, which is a pro, especially on Sporting had to win. We beat them there, so it's a pro for us this year. And we fired JJ. That's a pro for me. Not for many people, but it's a pro. And then lastly, my last pro is we value Darwin Núñez. This year, I think, is a year that we actually valued him to the potential, like we can sell him for over 100 million. So to me, that's a pro. Now cons, I don't know. You go ahead, Bill, if you want to do your pros before I go to my cons, because my cons.
No, go ahead. Let's hear them.
All right.
Is this a cliff?
Huh?
Is this a cliff? There's
a cliff. The cliff has happened 2 years ago. This is
we're at the bottom, twitching still.
This is like the parachute ripped, failed, and we're just spinning rocks all the way through to the bottom. So did not play to expectation. That's the number one. No, we obviously had high expectations of this team for this year. Did not meet them. Lost important games to our rivals. So when we had to beat our rivals, we lost. That happened to the Dragão when we had to beat them. We lost the Taça de Portugal, Taça da Liga to our rivals. Finished third after spending the most out of the Portuguese league. We spent the most and we finished third. So we couldn't compete with our rivals and we spent more. Had locker room problems, and obviously you guys can blame the players, but it was a combination of a lot of things. The players turned their back on Jesus. The soap opera continued. It was a mess, and it was embarrassing as a Benfica fan to witness that. So that's obviously a con. We had our president arrested. We had.
Dude, that feels like so long ago.
I know,
but it was this season.
Jesus, I know.
Holy fuck. We had a new Rui to step up. We had the whole soap opera about him having to go through elections or else it was not be fair, blah, blah, blah. So we had elections mid-year. We had, let me see, Benfica lost control of or respect from the Portuguese officials. We kept way too quiet so they could do whatever they want with us. We became like a mediocre team to them. You know what I mean? When back in the day we got robbed, we would speak up, and somehow the things turned around. This year, the last 2 years, we've been quiet. Let's not talk about the refs, and they just walked all over us. So Porto and Sporting basically dominated that kind of field. Let me see. Let me go to the next page. Had some bad, and I put bad in capital letters, signings, and I can name a few.
We'll get there at the end.
Yeah, Mate, Lázaro, I don't even know the guy's name, but Randonjic, whatever the fuck his name is, Gil Diaz are very examples, right? So those guys.
Gil Diaz scored at Alvalade.
Yeah, but you guys are
Super Gil.
Like these are bad signings. Like maybe they could have penned out, but no, they didn't. And then I stopped there. I have some for the end after, but not right now.
He doesn't want to blow his load early on. He wants to leave some for
he's trying to save some for the end.
Bill, how would you recap this season?
I mean, I think Oscar touched on it with, keyword being an embarrassment. I think it feels like so long ago that it like slipped my mind, the whole Lucia Vieta thing like that. That was a horrible way to kind of end it was toward the end of the calendar year, right?
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, it was like November-ish.
October, November type of thing. That's when we got in
It
trouble.
was like
and then,
September.
But
then the elections
that's
were
right.
in
Yeah.
November.
So it was right at the beginning of the season.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we all had high expectations coming in. We all kind of waited to see what George Jesus could do with like a full preseason, normal circumstances. Kenny's COVID excuse is now clearly out the window.
Yep.
So we all waited for that. Season just didn't start off bad. We got some good results, but it went south pretty quick. When it went bad, it went bad very quickly.
But the results were better than the performances.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same thing last season. Like last season, we went on a run of like 6 or 7 games where we looked like shit, but we were pulling out the result. And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. But it was kind of the same thing where once
it was a matter of time.
Yeah, once things fell apart, this year it was a lot worse than it was the year before. But when things went bad this year, it went south really quick, and JJ leaving and bringing in the new manager for an interim position. And I mean, the only thing we can hang our hats on is that Champions League run, which, like Oscar said, that hasn't happened in a while. And even in that, it wasn't great performances, but you saw some fight in the team, which in the league you didn't really see much, which was surprising. I mean, these guys turned it on for the Champions League, and I get like the Champions League is like the crown jewel of all trophies, but you would hope that they'd be
different motivation.
Yeah, you would hope that you'd be able to at least get up for the league games, especially games against your direct rivals, against Sporting and Porto. But when the wheels fell off, it fell off quick. And then, I mean, I'll give Verissimo some credit. Like, he was able to kind of steady the ship a little bit. And the team defensively, I think we looked better toward the end of the season under him. But it was definitely more of a
statistically that doesn't hold weight.
Really?
Yeah, we conceded a lot of goals.
Damn. Okay.
But I think
right, well, there goes that.
I think at times you looked more organized, right? But statistically, it shows that we conceded a lot of goals. I think we talked about this already. But yeah. What are you have any pros and cons do you want to rattle off that Oscar didn't?
I mean, Oscar hit on all of them. I mean, this kid's got 3 pages of things. I mean, the only pro. I mean, Darwin's breakout year. I mean, last year he had a lot of criticism, and to the point where he like disabled all his social media. He was getting like threats and shit, which is like stupid, but credit to him being able to come back and put in a 30-goal season, right?
32.
32? Yeah,
32
I mean,
all competitions. 6 and 26.
I mean, credit to him, and I mean the teams he played against in the Champions League, like Barca's, Bayern's, Liverpool, like he didn't back down against some of the best defenders in the
34,
world.
by the way. 34 goals.
Okay.
So it must have been Liga. I didn't count the League Cup, maybe.
Yep, 34.
Yeah, I mean, Darwin and I mean the Champions League run are probably the only 2 things you can count as a pro for this season. And then the list of cons, I think, is very long. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll touch on it once we hit Oscar's list, because 3 pages of notes. Kid's ready to go.
Yeah, Paulo says the cons são 2 páginas A4 double-sided. I was just going to say, if I know Oscar well enough, he's got a Mourinho-size notepad that he's making notes on.
Look at all that. Look at all that.
Mm-hmm.
And he writes small. Imagine if he wrote big, it would be a whole caderno.
If it was school, it'd be like size 14 font, double spaced.
Let me run through the comments quickly. Paulo says the suffering's finally over. Alzenda Miranda, sempre Benfica, vamos em frente. Greg, thanks for all your work this past season, boys. Looking forward to next year. So are we, hopefully with some silverware. Jonathan says, for Benfica standards, another failure this season. Of course, right? Like, I think for any of the top 3, if you fail to win anything, it's a failure. If you fail to win the league, it's a failure, right? Like, I think you can maybe hang your hat on winning the Taça de Portugal if you do, but if you don't win anything, right, and especially given the investment that you made, right, even worse. Joaquin says Benfica season was a bad one. No ifs about it. The only good thing was bringing Lucas Verissimo, who's going to be a good one for many years to come, right? I would probably put that on a pros list, right? I think let's
That
put an
happened.
asterisk on that, right? Let's see how he comes back from the injury.
Right. And he didn't get valued this year because he got hurt.
Correct. Yeah.
So if anything,
But hopefully
he got hurt because getting a player back from injury might not be the best thing. You know what I mean? You never know how he reacts.
And we saw potential in him right now. It's just a matter of, is he going to be able to bounce back from that injury? Hopefully he can.
There's a lot of players that hurt their knee and then they don't come back. And
they're never the same.
Paulo says, our season started going bad once JJ entertained the Flamengo BS, and that was Rui Costa's first mistake. A lot of people criticize that. There's a lot of different opinions on how they should have approached it. I don't know how we could have avoided it, to be honest with you. But there's a lot of nuances there. He says, should have told him, you either make a statement, you're staying. I'm assuming he's saying, and are not interested in Flamengo or Representantes de Missão. Unfortunately, the Missão happened not long after.
It was not really a Missão, but okay.
Yeah, it was mutual. We both say goodbye. So keep the comments coming in. Joaquin says he's good. Young, knee surgery nowadays are a lot safer. They are. But it's just a matter of, are they able to bounce back?
Sometimes it's like a mental block.
Exactly. I was about to say the same thing, Bill. Sometimes
you're always afraid,
mentally,
you're afraid to get stuck in because
Mikey knows all about
that's
that.
a bad knee.
Yeah. Oh, I do. Yeah. But I got 2 bad knees. I don't have 1. I got 2. So absolutely. It always plays in the back of your mind. But again, these guys are professionals. Like, you got to be able to shut it off. And hopefully he'll be able to do that. He's still young. And Paulo says this is Red Baron. I know. I figured it out. But yes, this is Red Baron, aka he's commenting under his real name today. He's not under an alias.
He's not on his burner account.
Yeah, he's not on the burner account.
So it wasn't Jay Silver after all?
No, it wasn't. All right, so we're gonna jump into the awards. As always, keep the comments coming. Let us know what you thought about the season. Let us know what you think about these awards we're gonna hand out. And of course, the link is in the chat if you want to jump in. We got some room. He said, just gave away my secret identity. If you want to join the conversation, jump in, give us your thoughts, let us know what you felt this season. More than welcome. Jonathan, we'll touch on your question about João Mario in the last section here, but let's start with player of the year. And I think a few of these are pretty straightforward, but curious to get your thoughts. Bill, I'll start with you. Who would you rate the player of the year? And those of you watching, let us know in the chat.
I mean, I think this one's pretty simple. I think Darwin, clearly, for the amount of goals he scored, and the majority of those coming in key situations. I just think it's the amount of goals he scored this year is just this is an easy pick.
Oscar, you agree?
I obviously Darwin is an obvious choice, but I would go, and this is, you guys might take this the wrong way, but I think I would give it to Rafa. And the reason I'll give it to Rafa is, look, he had 15 assists, 8 goals, right? I know towards the end of the season things didn't go his way, or something happened where he clicked off or whatnot, but he was having a tremendous season. He was like the guy that if he was on, the Benfica was on. If he was off, Benfica was off. So to me, that makes him one of the, compete for best player of the season, because he made that Benfica yes or no for the game.
I think those are both. Obviously, Darwin's the obvious one. I think Rafa is not a ridiculous shout, right? I mean, 12 goals, 18 assists, right? Like, you don't come across those numbers very often. I would throw another one in the hat, another hat in the ring here. I would say Otamendi might be up there. Potentially.
I had Odi as like my, not a ridiculous, but not the obvious choice. But yeah, Odysseus had so many clutch saves, and I mean, especially in the Champions League, like there was that Liverpool tie, like he had so many saves where they could have blown the doors open, and he came up clutch so many times.
Even against Barcelona in the group stage as well. Yeah. Bayern Munich as well, he did. So I think there's a few, right? I think there's one obvious, and then I think there are, 2 or 3 that I think could be part of that conversation. So I think unanimously, in terms of the obvious one, I think Darwin obviously takes the cake. This one I think is going to generate a few different opinions. Oscar, I'll start with you. And just for the chat here, Joaquin said Vlaco Dimos. Paulo says Darwin for his player of the year. Oscar, I'm going to start with you. Who was your pick for disappointment of the year? It can be a player, it could be a decision, it could be staff, whatever you want.
Well, the disappointment of the year to me, there's the staff is George Jesus. He completely failed this season. So, or the last 2 seasons. But I'm talking about. But my notes were about players, so I didn't even count him because he should have been out. He should have never came back. So to me, he's been a disappointment from the start. But I think the biggest disappointment because the way the hype he came in with was João Mario, right? He came in with the biggest hype as an international player. He started off playing like it was João Mario in 10 more, right? He was nobody could take a spot, and then for some reason he fell off the wagon. Like I don't know what happened. Like we thought was he hurt? Was he not hurt? He didn't come. He didn't even come in when he was on the bench. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like nobody could understand. Nobody can explain it. So to me, João Mario was a big disappointment just because the hype he came in with. Another one, and I don't know if you guys want my second opinion, but Yara to me is a guy that I look forward to having next year because I think he's got it. But he came in as an international player to score goals, and the hype didn't follow him. Like he kind of let me down. And I had him as my disappointment of the year at the beginning of the year. You guys remember that, right?
Yep.
So he was my disappointment of the year, and he didn't fall too far behind João Mario.
Okay, Bill.
Yeah, Yaremchuk was my disappointment of the year. I think with the price tag, the hype coming in with him after the Euros, I believe it was, where he had a decent showing for Ukraine. I think we all expected more from him. I mean, granted, coming into a new league takes time to adapt, and that whole situation with the war back home, I get it, but I think we all expected a lot more from him given the price tag and the hype coming into the season.
Yeah, I can't put Yaremchuk on that list, and the reason is, right, the first half of the season with JJ, he played more regularly. Yaremchuk was our third best goal scorer with 9 goals, right? So even though... What'd you say?
We only had 2.
We had Rafa with 12 and then Darwin, right? So Yaremchuk had 9 goals. What'd you say?
Nobody else was scoring, so yeah, I hope he was third.
Correct. So he was a disappointment, right? But then on the second half of the season, right, with Nelson Verissimo, he didn't play very often. I think I looked it up maybe 2 weeks ago, and his average, when you accumulate all his numbers, I think he started like 5 games or 4 games, and his average numbers of played minutes was like less than 45, right? So I can't, right, the second half of the season for him is essentially a wash because I can't make an opinion of what he may or may not have been going through. I think in the first half of the season, he didn't play to what we expected, but he was in a new league, right? Doesn't really know the language. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. If I have to pick my disappointment of the year, for me, it has to be Everton. Again, like I was hoping that this was the year, right? Like he had a year to adapt. He knows the language, should be used to it. And we can go into the nuances of the formation and not what he's used to and defending and et cetera, et cetera. And that's fine, right? But there's players that are cut out for it and there's players that aren't, right? And like for me, those top players, and more often than not, situations are able to adapt. It's not very often that you see a player come to Portugal who's good and not be able to adapt in Portugal and then go somewhere else and take off. Right? I can't think of many off the top of my head. Maybe you guys can. I was just disappointed at the fact that like I thought this was going to be the year, right? Like he's in, he's acclimated, and he's going to take off, and he still has yet to live up to the hype. I see a lot of rumors that he may be on the chopping block if we get a good offer. I don't know if it's true or not. If we were able to recoup some of that money, would I be disappointed to see him go? Probably not. You know, maybe he'll be better somewhere else, but he's my pick for disappointment of the year.
I think Joaquin said something really, like, I'm not going to call him dumb because Joaquin, you're not dumb. Right? You're a good guy. But Gilberto's not the disappointment of the year.
No.
He's probably he's one of the most improved probably. But the second line is he did get better with Verissimo. Cebolinha did. He got a lot more
did.
playing time,
But we
I
still
believe-
didn't see like that.
We didn't, but I saw improvement. So I saw him coming in.
Yeah. Yep. He definitely looked better. He looked more confident. He looked like he was with less pressure, it seemed, right? He seemed like himself a little bit more. But we still are so far from like the Sublinha that we saw at the Copa America, the Sublinha that we saw at Grêmio, right? And the football is obviously different. But who knows? If he stays, maybe this is the year, right? His third year, maybe is the year. Third time's a charm. But
Maybe.
for me, year 2 would have been it, and he didn't glue. So Jorge Martin says Yaremchuk is a disappointment for him. Fair.
I'll throw another one.
I'll
throw another one into the ring here, and this is just based off of. I think we talked about it in our group text, like the Benfica youth system hype train that is ridiculous. Like the Paulo Bernardo, like he was supposed to be the next João Felix type shit. Like the hype on him was ridiculous.
I wouldn't put him in that ring though. I wouldn't put him in the conversation.
And he has not shown me anything.
Yeah, no, you can't put him. He's coming from the academy. You need to give him. If you give Darwin 1 year to improve, to kind of come out and play well, then you have to give somebody coming from the academy a year to kind of get used to.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying based off of like the hype train that is.
Yeah, but he came into a situation that wasn't ideal.
System.
Right, like he came into a situation like those guys ideally should come into a team that's confident, that's playing well, right? And like not many are going to be able to come in at that level and like grab the team by the scruff of the neck and take control, right? Especially in the position that he plays. So I was disappointed with what he showed. I don't think he stood out for me, but I think it's unfair, in my opinion, to award him with the disappointment of the year.
Paulo says, I'm just saying you can throw him into
throwing him in the ring. Paulo says, give him another year with Roger. He hasn't had any time off in 2 years. And to confirm, he says, I'm talking about Little Onion.
Yes.
So he says, give him another year. Jorge Martin says, Benfica doesn't give Everton that free roll like he had in Brazil. It's true. And the soccer's different, right? Like you watch it in Brazil, they give him a lot of space, a lot of time. He can do whatever he wants, do rainbows, do this, right? Completely different game in Europe. Some people can adapt to it, some can't. Let's hope that he's able to adapt to it at Benfica. If not, move on. Let's recoup what we can. And thanks for your time.
No, I think he needs 1 more year with this new coach.
I wouldn't be. I'm not opposed to having him here, right? And I think Roger Schmidt's style of play will suit him even better, right? He's more of an offensive type of guy. But I think we all agree that this is the make or break, right? Like if he doesn't gel this time around, like it's time to move on. Jonathan says, how long of a leash does the new manager get? We'll talk about that at the end, Jonathan. Don't be trying to like sabotage and think that he's going to get fired. Relax. Judge says Judas didn't let him shine, but at Porto, I'll tell you that Everton would shine. Possibly, right? But again, that team's playing well, right? So there's a
you'll probably be shining a right back or left back like Pele is. Pele came as the nice winger, and then look what he's playing right now.
Pepe.
Or Pepe, whatever it is.
Yeah, Pele. All right, moving on. Most improved player. Who did I start with last time? Oscar? Bill, go to you.
I mean, for me, the easy pick is Darwin, right? Yep. Struggled first season, second season. He didn't
really struggle. I mean, he scored like 12 goals and had like.
I mean, but it wasn't. Again, based off of
we talk about
expectations,
1 year to the other.
Yeah, 1 year to the other. Like he's going from 12 goals to 34. Like that's a huge fucking jump. I think that's the obvious pick.
I have those, Paulo. I have exactly those. Gilberto and Darwin. Exactly.
I'm looking at the squad too, and Gilberto is the only one that stuck out to me. But Gilberto did the same thing last year, where like he started off and we all hated him, and then he like grows on you. And it was the same thing this year. Like he starts off and you're like, and then he grows on you, his toughness and his fight. But I mean, the obvious for me is Darwin.
Okay. George says Gonçalo Ramos. Paulo says Gilberto and Darwin. Oscar.
No, I agree with Paulo. I mean, Gilberto and Darwin. Darwin, just for the reasons that Bill just said, right? He came from a year where he was criticized. He didn't do well. He scored a few goals, but everybody's still criticizing him. He came for 25 million, whatever it was. and we expected more from him. This year, he basically shut everybody up, including me, because I criticized him last year. So to me, is from one year to the other, Darwin gets that award. Gilberto is the same thing. He was the ugly duckling last year. He's continuing to be the ugly duckling this year, but shutting everybody up week after week. So and if you guys talk about Garra, he is the guy that gave the most Garra in the team. Like, to me,
the more he plays, the more he reminds me of Moxie. Just
exactly.
the fight in him.
And you guys talk about Otamendi with Garra and all that, but this guy showed Garra the right way, not by punching people or getting red cards.
What's funny is I don't know if you guys saw it in our WhatsApp group, but João Pereira mentioned, which I didn't even think of, but when Maxi Pereira came to Benfica that same time, we had another Cebolinha that came with him, Christian Rodriguez. Okay.
Oh, shit.
And Maxi was the player that stood out in that transfer window. Gilberto came with Cebolinha, Everton, same transfer window. And Gilberto is the one that's standing out of the two of them, right? Like, I thought it was an interesting coincidence that, they both have the nickname of Cebolinha, and a right back who two players that maybe no one would have thought anything of are giving us more, or Maxi gave us more than Christian Rodriguez did, and Gilberto showing us more than what Everton has so far. So I thought it was an interesting take, which I didn't even think of. Josh says Gilberto is 100% heart and 0% skill.
I don't agree with that. I
don't think it's 0% skill.
No, I think he's got a little bit of skill, but
it's not.
But he's not like.
Tell me the difference between him and Maxi Pereira when it comes to skill.
They're very similar. They're very similar.
When it comes to skill, I think he even has more skill than Maxi Pereira. So
he's got better feet, 100%.
We had Maxi Pereira as one of our top right backs, and we can't give him this guy the skill to be a right back. I disagree with that.
Yeah, Paulo says right on about reminding of Maxi. SLB, yes. What's going on? Join the conversation. George says both hotheads. I would say Maxi's more of a hothead than I think Gilberto's more of like a passionate guy. He's not as much of a hothead. He's just like he wants to win so bad. Yeah, I think it's more like he's so competitive, whereas Maxi is. I don't know.
I think he's one of those players that he knows how to get under people's skin. Like, he does these the little things that like start pissing you off. As long as as the game goes on, you get pissed off even more. And I think he does that. Maxi was just a hardhead. Like, Maxi could flip a switch and fucking headbutt you for all we know.
Yeah. It's the South American blood. Moving on here. This one wasn't on your list, but I'm going to throw it out there. Save of the year. Does one come to mind for you? I got one that came to mind. For sure. I got a few, but one definitely comes to mind.
I mean, there's so many.
The first one that popped into my head was, and we were at the game, was against Liverpool.
I was going to mention that one too.
Against Salah. Yeah. Salah was it was legit one-on-one. I think it was 2-1 at the time.
Yeah.
And he
comes in from the right side.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the first one that popped into my head. I'm sure there's better ones, but I just like the occasion, the game, quarterfinals, Champions League against Liverpool. Like, that's a huge fucking occasion, and a breakaway against Mohamed Salah, which is arguably top 3 best players in the world right at the moment. Like, to be able to pull off that type of save in the moment, I think that was huge.
Man, I can't think. I remember them, but I can't remember the games as to when they.
The one that jumps out to me is in the qualification against PSV. There, he saved a free kick right at the edge of the box early in the game too. But there was a bunch. I mean, he had a shit ton against Bayern Munich before they scored the first goal. He had the one that he saved with his foot, hit the crossbar, went out. He had that one against Barcelona.
I was going to say there's one against Barca, I remember.
I think it was Frankie de Jong, missed like 3 yards out. I believe he saved. Dynamo Kiev away, he saved the big free kick as well. There was definitely some big saves that he had for sure this season. He said, George says a bunch against Ajax. He did. Yep, the one at the end, which ended up being offsides, but against
the header.
The shot.
Didn't have many chances to score.
They didn't, but he had that one at the end. The chances they had during or at least the second game. The second game, I think he made like one save, which was the one at the end. I can't think of any others. They had a lot of shots. They were just not on target. Right. Okay. Next one is goal of the season.
I mean, I'll jump in right now. I think the easy pick is that
Let's see
Rafa.
If it's the same one.
Yeah. That Rafa goal. Like, was it like 80 yards coast to coast, takes on 3 or 4 guys and slots it away. Like, I think that's the easy pick. Darwin had a few down the left side cutting in far post shots. Like, I mean, the one that just stands out is that Rafa goal.
Yeah, I think that Rafa's the obvious one for me as well.
Yeah, that's the obvious one.
Darwin, which one was it?
There was a goal that he chipped the goalie. That was pretty. It was a nice goal. The chip on the goalie.
The other one,
what would have been on this list?
What?
Seferovic fucking chipping Barca goalie.
No, but he didn't chip the Barca goalie.
He chipped the golie. No, he chipped the goalie. He missed the net. He chipped the goalie and the net. The Darwin goal against Ajax away is a big goal, right? Not a great, not an oh my god goal, but a huge.
I think it's like the occasion.
The Adan one. That's the one. Jonathan. Yeah, he scored the first goal against Sporting away when he chipped Adan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Rafa is the one that obviously stands out. But there were some interesting ones definitely throughout the season. Defensive player of the year. And this could be a defender or a midfielder with defensive characteristics. Doesn't have to necessarily be a defender.
I mean, I think the obvious choice is Otamendi. I think he's the heart and soul of our backline. But for me, this year, Vertonghen was so consistent from start to finish. Like, it was unreal how well he played. And I think we might have some headaches coming in with Verissimo coming back from injury. Like, how do we fit these three into the back line, or who's sitting, who's not? But for me, I'd give Vertonghen the defensive player of the year.
Oscar?
I mean, I had the same thing. I had Otamendi, Vertonghen being the same line, but I'm gonna go off the rails, and I'm gonna give it to Odysseus. He was the guy that kept us in the many games. He was we suffered goals. Like, our defense sometimes looked so shaky. Mike even said we suffered goals almost in every single game. But if it wasn't for Odysseus, we would have been
our goal could have conceded more.
Our goal difference would have been crazy. So I think Odysseus deserves the defensive player.
My pick is for Grimaldo. I thought he improved as the season went on. I think he started to look better. I think he's had his ups and downs. We've all agreed that defensively he's not the greatest, right? He's better going forward. But I thought as the season went on, he definitely looked better, looked more consistent. George says Weigl could be in contention. I agree. I think for more than the season than not, he was extremely solid. I think he went through a phase there that, maybe a month or so that he looked tired. He wasn't as effective. But I agree. I think he's also improved significantly. Let me run through these comments quickly. Jonathan says, Gilberto does nothing for me. If I was Benfica, I'd be looking for an upgrade. That's something that many people have said. It'll be interesting to see what their approach is in the offseason, right? Are they going to go get a right back that's going to be a starter, or is Gilberto going to be the starter and we're going to, plug the hole with a backup player? Interesting to see. Moxie was a better player. He was always at an 11 and was so aggressive. His defense was at a higher level. I think he was more intense defensively. I think he was better defensively, but I think he's better overall than Gilberto, but I don't think it's that big of a difference, I would say.
Moxie reminded me of the Roadrunner with his legs move so quick, but then
but his body didn't go fast. It was weird. I think it's because his arms were always
all over the place. Yeah.
It was like an illusion. Like his arms were going, but his body wasn't going
But
that
his body
fast.
is
It was
not.
weird. It was really weird. SLVES says defensive player of the year is Otamendi. Aldi says is also a good call. Ba's the Danish international right back we want. Yeah, we haven't signed him yet, so it'll be interesting to see. But if we do sign him, that'll be good. Two good options on the right hand side, and I would assume that he would be the starter over Gilberto, but we'll see what Roger has in mind. Next one, I think, is an obvious one. I don't know if there's much, I don't think there's much discussion on this one. Offensive player of the year, I think unanimous Darwin. I think we all agree that's the obvious. Are there any honorable mentions that you think we can throw in here? I think Rafa, obviously, with his goals and assists. Anyone else that's not a standout?
Those two definitely get the. I mean, Darwin obviously number one, Rafa number two to me are the positives of this year when it comes to this kind of award.
And I think there's a huge gap between 1 and 2. I think Darwin is easily the best offensive player, but I think I agree with Rafa there, because I think the amount of goals and the amount of assists, I think it's impressive. It's just the amount of goals Darwin scored and the occasions at which he scored, I think, just propel him to a different level.
Yeah. Josh says Jean Mario with laughing faces.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys one thing. If we had a striker like Yara or Seferovic or Gonzalo Ramos that could actually score goals, I think Rafa would have been more crucial to this team than Darwin, because Darwin right now this year was the only one that could actually you can trust to score the goals, right? And
I don't disagree.
Rafa is the guy that took the ball from the back to the front, who connected the midfield to the forwards, right? So if he could assist like a Seferovic or Gonzalo Ramos and score those goals, Darwin would have been huge, but not crucial. You know what I mean? So that's why I consider Rafa so important in this team, because the way he connected the back to the front.
So I agree. Yeah, I think if we had a more right, like Benfica's offense all ran through, for the most part, Darwin and Rafa, right? Like if one of them wasn't on, we didn't score goals, right? Yeah. So we were just so dependent. I agree with you, Oscar. I think if we had someone else that was consistently able to contribute, right, I think things could have been much different. SLBS says Ramos is a third shout for offensive player of the year. George says Rafa went downhill when the rumors of him going to Wolves came out. Next one here is one for the future. SLBS says Rafa was important. I agree. One for the future. This is someone who you think has everything in terms of characteristics and capabilities for next year to be their year of establishing themselves. It could be a youth player. It could be someone who's already in the squad.
Can I go with this one?
Yeah.
I think that's when Gonzalo Ramos comes in. Okay. And I'll tell you why. He's got everything going for him besides the goal. And I think once he gets that goal, once he starts scoring goals and consistently, I think he's the player that we have looking like as a striker. Because if we lose Darwin, unless Yarmolenchuk comes and plays and becomes a superstar, Gonzalo Ramos is, I think, who people are looking to replace Darwin, especially the way that he plays, coming back, helping defend with speed and all that. I think he's a guy that we're looking forward to a breakout season next year.
Do you think that Roger plays him right? Like, where does he play him? Right? I don't see him playing in the midfield with Roger Schmidt. If anywhere, I see him playing somewhere across the front, and I would have to guess he's not going to play as the lone striker. In my opinion, I think Yarmolenchuk's going to be that guy. Where do you think he plays him?
He could play like as John Felix was playing, right behind the striker, like a Jonas was playing.
So he'd be playing where he is now.
Correct.
In the top of the triangle.
Correct. And I think he needs, because he's good when it comes to helping defend and helping the midfield. He's good at that. He's a hustler, but he needs to score more goals in order to become crucial or a definite starter.
Okay. Bill?
Yeah, I don't disagree with Ramos here, but I my pick was what Paulo said. I think Enrique Araujo, I think the last game he showed, he does have that finisher's mentality, and he can put the ball in the back of the net, and at the end of the day, that's all you want from your striker. And I think he got a few chances this year, but not consistent chances and not enough time to kind of shine. But I think he's one to keep an eye out, and especially if we sell Darwin and we're not. I mean, it all depends on the market too, and if we go buy another striker. But if we get rid of Darwin, and we go into the season with Yaremchuk, I'm assuming Enrique would be called up to be on the first team on a permanent basis. So I think he's one to keep an eye out for.
You said Enrique Araujo?
Enrique Araujo.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I agree, but like he hasn't shown much for us to say, hey, he's the guy, or he's the guy. I mean, I get it. He had a one.
I mean, it's one for the future. It's the way I took this was if you see something, glimpses of something in these players that you can think can shine in the future.
He played like 2 games.
They played a few games, but I mean,
he was in the squad 7 times. He played 6 games.
Played more for the
scored 3 goals. I mean, he
almost
has 1 goal.
Ramos.
He has 1 goal less than Ramos, and Ramos played a hell of a lot more games.
But I think we saw what Ramos was able to give us, right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I agree. I don't disagree with Ramos either. I'm just giving another option.
Yeah, no,
here.
That makes sense. Paulo says Enrique Araujo. Jorge Martins says Lucas Veríssimo. SLBS says Darwin. Was the team better with him on the left, with Ramos and Seferovic up front? I think it's more than obvious that he was more lethal on the left-hand side, right, coming in, right. I don't think he's still yet adapted to being a central striker by himself, right. I think that will come with age. Maybe it won't, right. Maybe he's going to always operate on the left, but I think that's a unanimous decision. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I think
especially the speed, that's what he needs to play.
Yep.
Even when he was playing centrally, he always wanted to.
Yeah, always wandered off to the side.
To the left.
Jorge Martin says false 9 in terms of where Gonçalo Ramos could play. I've been following this kid for a few years, and this kid's maturity on and off the field is amazing. He's talking about Enrique Araujo. Jorge Martin says Vinicius coming back for Roger. His loan is 2 years, so he's still got 1 more season left at PSV Eindhoven.
I'm pretty sure they have a mandatory.
They have a
eye.
Yeah.
Did Rogers like him there? Or Roger?
He barely played.
Yeah,
he was on and off. He wasn't a consistent player.
If he barely played there, he's not going to.
Yeah. Zahavi was the starter there. In the B team, he was the best scorer in terms of Enrique Araujo. For the future is I think Thiago Gouveia. Given his characteristics, I think he has the potential to have an impact this season. There is one more that I think has the potential, but I don't know if he's ready yet, which is Martin Neto. Solid player in the midfield. I've watched a lot of the B team this year. He's definitely one that stands out. I know a lot of people have talked about Diogo Moreira.
Bring him up,
but
I like
he's
him.
Right. But we have to make sure that we're cautious with this, right? Like the kid's 17 years old, right? Like you want to throw him to the wolves, right? Like, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, he's right, like great. He's got great feet. He's fancy, great." But like, let's let him develop to that level, right? He's playing at the youth league level, right? And like, I think there's a lot of hype, but I think we need to be cautious of how we build that hype up, and we end up crashing and burning, which wouldn't be ideal because I think he has a lot of potential. So my pick would be for Thiago Gouveia.
Now, do we know if Roger is a guy that will come get these guys in the B team? Because we don't know, do we? Like that.
So the plan is for him to. So the plan is for him to invest in the B team. But when you look back at his track record of players that he brought up or introduced to the squad as young players, he has a very good track record of that. Like ones that come to mind off the top of my head, he's the one that started Sadio Mane for the first time. He was the one that brought up Kai Havertz at Leverkusen. So when you go back and look at his track record of giving youth a chance, he's got quite a few names attached to him in his past that today are world-renowned names or big stars across Europe. So I would imagine that given the plan and the project, that's it, a lot of it's going to pass through the Seychelles. And the rumor is that the plan is for like 6 or 7 of the B team players to be part of the first team this year. So I think there's going to be a lot of
I hope so.
young faces in the squad. George says Hugo Felix is awesome as well. Tomás Araújo is one that we forget. I think he will have a chance this year for sure. He was in and out of the A team. So time will tell. Here's another one that wasn't on your radar, but I thought it would be interesting. From zero to hero, a player on loan that you think will return and make an impact.
Oh, God. Jesus. Go ahead, Oscar. Go ahead.
He's not going to say it.
I have to think. I mean, the obvious one, you guys know my obvious one. Let's go, PZ. I trust him. Come on, I trust PZ.
I'll give you the players on loan just so I can.
I was about to say, what's our loan list? But there's so many fucking players.
We got Vinny, who's not coming back. I believe he's got one more year. Tino, Jedson, Pizzi, Jota, Gabriel, Ferro, Chiquinho, Tomás Tavares, who just got an ACL injury, Tiago Dantas, German Conti, Nuno Santos, Passos Ferreira, and Pedro Pereira, who I forgot we still had that guy, the right back who's in Italy, I believe.
All right, so from that list, I think if we lose Darwin, I think Jota could be a potential comeback. I've seen a few games of him in Celtic, and I liked him, and he's one of the guys that the Celtic fans love. So he had to make an impact in order for them to like kind of put him in a high regard.
Bill,
I'm with SLBES here. Like I'm still fucking I had to take that Ferro was gonna be better than Ruben Diaz.
No.
Fuck, was I wrong?
We were all wrong,
dude.
I thought so too. I thought he had better feet, but fuck, he
that
he
one
tricked
year,
us all.
dude. Oh yeah. Fuck me.
No, he tricked us.
But I had the same expectations for Tino. I thought Tino was going to be one of a superstar in the midfield, and at some point when he was starting, I think under Bruno Lage who started him, right? He was like this guy's going to be a superstar, and then all of a sudden, like again, fell off the freaking wagon.
I mean, none of these guys outside of Jota, I can't think of any of these guys like standing out at their teams, like where they were loaned out. I know Jota started hot and then fell off a bit, but ended the season well. And I know that they love him over in Scotland. Those guys, like I've seen like rumors that he's decided to go back already, but I mean these are newspapers and gonna be fucking going crazy. Of that loan list, it's not pretty. I mean, I would agree. Jota is probably the one that I could see just from the season he had coming back, and if they gave him his opportunity, he could do well.
Yeah, I agree. I think the list is, as Josh Martin says, none. They all blow.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, Paulo says none as well. I think the obvious one that stands out is Jota. I think operating on the left or the right hand side and in the formation that Roger Schmidt likes to play, I think if he's up for it, I think he could make an impact. He's got speed. He knows the club. He knows the league. Right, coming off a good season at Celtic, right, could play in his favor. He is at the end of his contract, so it's a matter of is he going to renew and stay, or is he going to move on and go to Celtic? Paulo says Jota is going to be gone. Rumors say he is. Other rumors say he might stay. So time will tell. George says, I thought Florentino was the next Conte. I think he's got all the weapons in the tool shed, but for me, there's something missing there, right? Whether it's a mental thing, a lazy, lazy.
Like
I can't.
Jetson's on loan, isn't he?
He is.
Jetson?
He's in Turkey. Yeah.
You didn't mention him.
Actually, was he on loan or did we sell him? And then
he renewed. He renewed, and then we loaned him. But he was in between two teams, so it was like a huge cluster because then two Turkish teams were basically fighting for him. It was a nightmare. So he renewed with us before he went back out on loan. His contract's still 2025. But I did mention him. He was the third one. I went down the list here. Yeah, I think there's a lot of players here that aren't gonna come back. SLBS says, I'd rather sell Jota and use the money to upgrade the midfield. I mean, the
money's not.
Purchase is what, $6 million, I believe.
Yeah, it's not a huge payday.
Yes, I don't think it's going to make a big dent in us being
I
like,
was-
who are we going to buy with $6 million? not anyone good.
Down payment on Maserati.
Yeah, right. You ain't getting a Maserati for $6 million. You're
Oof.
gonna get like a Kia. Something. Braga wants like $18 million for that guy. There's rumors that I can't remember who the hell it was. I think I saw it today. Someone in the EPL, I think, was looking at him.
Wasn't he
Can't
supposed to
remember
go to
that
like Qatar or something last year?
He was, but he ended up holding on to him. But I think someone in the EPL wants him. I think I saw it today. So I'd be very surprised if Salvador sells him to Benfica, or even in the Portuguese league. But he seems to not like to sell players to Benfica, which is interesting. But I don't see it happen. If we go buy a player from Braga, it's going to be Ricardo Duarte, and even then, Salvador's going to want like 40 million and a bag of potatoes and a presunto for him. George says for $6 million, Benfica will buy another Maite. Yeah, exactly. That's how much he costs. So there's your expectation for $6 million and what it can get us. Okay, so that is our awards. Quite a few that we expected, others that we didn't. SLB says I'm still hopeful for Ferro. I'm still holding on.
Me too.
I think a lot of people are I think he's holding on too. Jota's option is 7.5 for 70%. Okay, so instead of spending 15 million, you Jota money increased to 21%, or 21 million. Instead of spending 15 million, you Jota's money and increased to 21. I'm confused. You got to explain that one to SLBS, unless you guys know what he's trying to say.
Nope.
Kai looks like he eats cozido before the game. Might it? He does look heavy at times, like slow, not like fat. He's a solid dude, but he does look slow at times. All right, we're gonna go through our rate the team and then sell, keep, or loan. So I'm gonna rattle off names of players who had at least 5 appearances, right? And I'll tell you who the players are that didn't have at least 5 appearances, so we don't forget them. And it's like that. We don't waste our time with some players that don't need to be discussed. Jetson had 4. Tomás Araújo had 4. Rodrigo Pinho had 3. Ferro had 2. Luca Waldschmidt had 2. Thiago Gouveia 2. Sandro Cruz 2. Carlos Vinicius 1. Martin Neto 1. Diego Moreira 1. We also had Miles Villar, Florentino, Pedro Álvaro, Leo Cucubo, and Rafael Brito, who are on the A team. So players who had 5 appearances at least. And we will go with, let's see, in squad. All right, so we'll start with, so you rate them 1 to 5 and keep, sell, or loan. And all of you are listening.
Wait, let's get the rules straight. So is this what we want or what we think will happen?
What do you guys prefer to do? What do you think will happen or what you want?
What we
want.
want.
So we'll do what we want. Okay. All right. What we want is the approach here. I'll start with you. Enrique Araújo. Rate.
I haven't seen much, so I'm gonna give it right in the middle. I'll put 3, and I'll keep.
That's not in the middle. 2.5 is in the middle.
Yeah, but I'll take middle to the positive side. I mean, he scored 2 goals at the end. He had a few good sparks. 2, 3, and keep.
3 and keep. Bill.
Yeah, I agree. I think he showed a little bit that I would keep.
SLB says we forgot Chiquinho. He was on my list, but yeah, I don't think there's much to talk about with him. Paul says 3 keep. I agree with you guys. I think 3 and keep. I was on the fence with loan, but I think he may have a chance. But I wouldn't be surprised if he goes on loan.
I think it also depends on the whole Darwin situation.
Yeah,
I think if he ends up staying, which I would be shocked, I could see him going on loan. But I'm assuming Darwin's gone, and I would keep him.
Okay. Elton Late. Bill.
We saw him. I would
7
say,
appearances.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't horrible. I would say 3 and keep.
Keep. Interesting, Oscar.
Well, all depends on if we get a backup, because Slavar is leaving to Roma, from what I hear, right? So if we need to get a backup, and if we get a backup from our B team, then we need to have an experienced player in case Audi goes out, gets hurt. So I would say he hasn't shown much this year other than joking. So I'll say 2 and keep, because in case we get somebody else, sell the shit out of him.
What was your rating for him?
2,
Oscar? Bill, what'd you rate him?
3.
I said 3 down the middle. He didn't look horrible.
I'm going with a 2 and sell.
But who you put it back there? Like, what do you want?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm looking at it. Like, do we have?
So I would go for a backup. Like,
backup. Audi can get hurt or red card or something. You know, never know.
We have Kukubu, who's good on the B team. He's played a lot of minutes there. How often I know he can get hurt, right? Like, and it's good to have an experienced keeper, but let
me ask you a question. How do you think Oblak and Ederson came into the team? Somebody else got hurt.
Correct. But I mean, I would rather, right? If we want to take a chance on our youth, right? Like, I think that's a position where we could take a chance on our youth, right? Like,
yeah. But we have to see who comes in to replace those guys. Because so far as leaving, so we need to. Helton Wait to me is a person that stays only if we don't get anybody else.
I would sell him. I think there's other options that we could go get that are younger, that I think could do what he did, right? Like, and obviously with the expectation that someone's not going to get drastically hurt, but that's capable of at least filling the void. If Svilad was ready to fill the void, and we haven't seen much from him in 6 years on the A team, why isn't Kukubu ready, right? And he's played on the B team. Samuel Suarez, Samu is right, another one. So I would sell 2 and sell.
Isn't Samu playing for Moreirense or Portuanense or somebody? Isn't
no Samuel Suarez, the kid that got sent off in the youth league.
What's the goalie that replaced him?
Gotcha.
And Almeida, I believe is his name. The young kid. He's 17. No,
the kid won a Champions League and didn't fucking laugh.
17 years old.
Smile. Stone cold.
17 years old. Get out of here. Don't ruin the kid. All right. Nemanja Radonjic. He's on loan. So how would you rate him? Because he's got to go back.
0 and send him out with a first class ticket. No, actually,
first class for this. Nice, dude. Holy shit.
Coach in the bathroom seat.
Yeah.
Last row.
Make him take the bus. I'd give him a 1. He showed a little flash, but I'd send him back.
Yeah, I give him a 1 as well. He looked really good against Guimarães in the Taça da Liga. And then the next game we played away, I believe, was the Famalicão, and he didn't do well. And then he just was useless going forward. Seferovic, Bill.
This is a tough one.
He had 5 goals, or 5 assists, 3 goals. Or 5 goals, 3 assists.
I would say, I would, yeah. I'm going to go 2 just because of that fucking Barca debacle, and I'm going to say sell.
Oscar?
I respect him. I respect what he's done for the club. I think, like PZ, and you guys all talked about him, like he's run his course. I think for the what he's done for Benfica, I know he got hurt this season, but I'll give him a 3 and sell.
I would say 2 and sell. Shar says Seth 1 sell because the Barca missed. Lucas Verissimo, Oscar.
Lucas Verissimo showed it very promising. I think I would give him a 4 and keep.
Bill?
Yeah, I'm gonna just because he was hurt the majority of the season, so I'll just say a 3 because he was solid at the beginning of the season, but he was out for the majority of it, and definitely keep. He's definitely one for the future.
Yeah, I was just gonna say what Paul said. I'll meet you guys in the middle, 3.5 and keep for me. Gil Diaz, Bill.
I mean, he scored against Sporting, so he gets 2.7 for me. And fucking ship him off, dude. Get him out of here.
Oscar?
I'm going to say 2 and sell.
I agree. 2 and sell. Paulo Bernardo, Bill, or Oscar?
Paulo Bernardo had some games, man. Has some games that showed potential, but then he has a lot of fraud games too. So I'm going to say 2.5 keep.
Bill?
Yeah, I'm going to say 2.5 and keep. But I'm on the fence with the loan.
Me too. But I just like to keep.
I just feel like he's going to end up staying, but I would say a loan wouldn't hurt him, but I think he's going to stay.
I would say 2 and loan. I think he needs to go somewhere where he's going to play regularly. And I don't think he's going to get regular football at Benfica this season. So I think a loan would be good for him. Correct, but even if we keep the same midfield that we have today, I don't think he's gonna get regular minutes.
Agree.
I think that he needs somewhere where he's able to play with less pressure and play regularly. Will it happen? I don't know. But I would say 2 and loan. SLB says loan Gil Diaz. Loan pro onde? That guy's got the longest laundry list of clubs that he has played at in his career, and he's not even that old. And I'm going to just give you guys an idea of this because I need to pull up his name now. But this guy has been on so many teams, and
I'm assuming George is talking about ship him to Chaves is Paulo Bernardo, and I would approve
send
that,
him to Chaves.
That loan.
Gil Diaz, okay. Let's see. Once he got out of the B teams, he's 25 years old. Monaco to Varzim on loan. He was on Rio Ave, Fiorentina, Nottingham Forest, Olympiacos, Granada, Famalicão, and Benfica. 25 years old. He's been on like 7 teams at the top level. That's quite impressive. So I don't know what I wouldn't loan him. He's not gonna. Já não vai aprender mais. Já sabe o que sabe. He's not gonna get any better. So I would definitely not keep him. George says Viva Chaves, caralho. George, are you from the north? I think he might be Transmontano.
Wait, did Chaves already make it? I think aren't they have to play a second leg?
They have
to play against Moreirense second leg.
Yeah,
away.
Second leg. You have 2-0, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Moratu, which touches on SLBS's comment. Does he stay and give him a legitimate shot, or do we sell and upgrade? So, Bill, Moratu.
I would rate him at 3.5, and I would keep him.
Ok. Jorge de Vidago, lá ao pé de nós. Boa gente. A terra do pote. Yeah. Oscar.
Moratu. Moratu gave me some good games. I would say 3 and keep.
I would say Moratu. I'd say 2.5. He wasn't bad. I don't think he played enough, but I would say keep as well. I think he's definitely one for the future.
Especially because he's a lefty too.
Yeah, and those are hard to come by. Good ones at least. Almeirinhos. Oscar.
I say he ran his course as well. This year he was hurt most of the year. So I'll give him a 2 and sell.
Bill?
Oscar rated him high. I'm gonna go like 1.3 and sell.
Yeah, I agree. He didn't. I respect what he's done. He's a Benfiquista, but I think he's run his course as well. I think after his injuries that he just isn't able to keep up. So I would say
that Porto game, I think it was, where he was fucking just chasing people left and right.
Yeah, and then got a red card. I would say I give him a 1.5 for this season and definitely sell. Jean says keep. He played nasty versus PSV.
Talking about Moratu.
Oh, Moratu. Okay, I thought I was talking about Andre Almeida. I'm like, wait. Yeah, 100% keep Moratu. Maite, Bill, or was it Oscar? Can't remember. Bill, go.
He's going back on loan, right? Or it was just like a 2-year loan.
Maite is ours.
We bought him 6 million
from Torino.
Doing?
How old is Maite?
28.
28?
Fuck.
Quem te dera ter 28 anos, acho.
I know.
Oh, shit. 2 and sell if we can.
Oscar?
I mean, I thought he was younger, man, because I was gonna say loan to see if he can get his money back. right now we paid 6 million. We're probably gonna get 2.
7
million apparently. I thought it was 6 and 7, even worse.
Yeah.
No, sir. So, I thought it was on loan. Fuck.
All right, so I say I mean, we can't get 7. I say we have to loan him out. We have to loan him out. So I'm gonna say 2 and loan.
I don't think
he's
anyone's
another
going
one
to take him.
He's been another one that's been loaned around. He
Yeah.
was at AC Milan as well. Yeah, I would say I was very frustrated with him. He definitely played a little bit better here and there. I'll give him a 2. And what I would do is sell, but I think he may stay.
I don't think he was bad with the ball at his feet. It just like when he didn't have the ball, he was clueless as where like he had no clue where to be.
Mike is going to end up at like Casapia. It's possible. It's possible. Valentino Lazaro. Oscar. He's on loan, so rating only.
No, send him back, and I'll rate him. I rate him like 2.5. He has some good sprints.
Yeah,
Bill?
I think I agree with that. That 2.5 range, and I would send him back.
I would say a 2. He was one of those guys that I thought was going to be really good. Quick feet, quick. Defensively, he's an absolute fucking nightmare. Like positionally, he's always out of position. He was just extremely frustrating to watch. I expected a lot from him. George says 2.5 for effort, but send him back. Paulo says he's going back and to Atlanta. I wonder who he's talking about. Oh, maybe Lazaro because he was at Inter, so he might be going to Atlanta.
Torino.
Maite came from Torino, but Lazaro came from Inter on loan. So I think Paulo's saying that he's going to go back to Inter and then to Atlanta. Next one, Pizzaldinho. Oscar, you can start with him.
Wait, but he's on loan already. So what am I going to do? Get him back?
No, he's coming back.
He's coming back, but are you gonna rate him for what he played, and then what are you gonna do with him?
5. Bring him back.
So you're gonna keep him, Bill? He can't even keep a straight face when he says.
I could see him end up staying.
Stop.
But I don't want him to. I think I'm grateful for what he's done, and I think he's run its course. And I think he'll come back. We'll rescind the contract, and I think he goes on his way. I don't think we sell him. I don't think we loan him. I think I don't know how many years are left in the contract, but I think we come to some kind of mutual agreement, rescind, and he goes on his way.
2 years left. His contract ends in 2023. 1 year left.
Yeah. So I don't think we sell him. I think we kind of give him the
man. I'd love for him to shut all you guys up next year. Holy
it's not gonna happen.
My dream, man.
He'll end up at Chubbs.
It's not gonna happen.
If he goes there.
Paulo says Pizzi will end up at Braga, and he gives him a 2. George says Pizzi dan Rue. I agree. I would give him a 1.5 and sell 100%. He's run his course. Thank you for what you've done, but let's move on. Diogo Gonçalves. Bill.
I'm going to go, I'll say 3. Just, I think he was a lot better in the 3-back system, but I think it's a sell.
Oscar, he's 25 years old.
He came from on loan, right? He was on loan in Famalicão. What was it?
Yep. Actually, I think we sold him to Famalicão and bought him back, if I'm not mistaken. But I can check.
Man, he had some good games. I still remember the free kick he scored against Arsenal. He had a
No, he was on loan.
Yeah, man, I think I would have to loan him out again so he can get more playing time. I would give him a 3.5 in loan. He had some good games and then some games that he just fell off the wagon.
Arsenal was the year before, not this year.
Yeah, but I know that's what I'm trying to say. I saw from him. He wasn't terrible. He just, I don't know, something about him.
Okay, Oscar, I know this comment's going to trigger you. PZ and Almeida, they cause problems in the locker room.
Prove it.
He's poking the bear. He's poking the bear. Diogo, I would say 2. He's 25 years old. I would loan him one more chance, right? Loan him, see if he sticks, if he improves. If he does, great, right? If he doesn't, then we move on from him. But he's still young enough. He's Portuguese. He's from the youth. I would give him one more chance. Diogo
I think
was.
Diogo Gonçalves in a team like Braga, I think he would explode.
He could, right? Less pressure. Again, he's just got to play regularly. I mean, he had a good year at Famalicão.
Look at the Horta brothers. And Benfica choked. He couldn't play.
Yeah.
And then it came to Braga, they're superstars.
Yeah. Yeah. Some players just aren't cut out for the weight of the shirt. Gilberto. I don't care. Whoever wants to go first.
I forgot. Gilberto, I think Gilberto, I'll give him a 4.3 and keep. He was just
Bill
for the season.
Yeah, I'll give him a 4. I'm 100% keeping him.
Paulo says Diogo Gonçalves for David Carmo. David Carmo's a former Benfica youth player. There's rumors that he may go to England, but we don't know yet. Paulo says 4 and keep. I would say 4 and keep as well. Darling Nunez. Bill.
5 and keep.
Oscar.
Yeah, Darwin, I definitely would. Me personally would keep, but I know it's not going to happen. So
no chance. I don't think he stays at all.
This is what I want. 5 and keep as well, but it's going to be 5 and sell.
Yeah, I agree. 5 and I would like to keep him as well, but it's going to be extremely difficult. Adel. Oscar.
Man, that guy probably made me lose so much hair and nails and everything else. But then he had some games where like shit, he's probably our best midfielder. 3 and let's fucking cut the leash. 3 and sell.
Damn, you gave him a 3? Shit, that was generous, Bill.
Generous because of what he was one of our only midfielders going forward at some point.
He was, but like all of his
for every one amazing play.
Yeah.
There was like 4 bad ones that preceded it. Yeah, I'm going like 2.75, and
that's pretty close to a 3.
I'm selling.
You guys are generous. SLB says thank you and goodbye. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us. I'm gonna say 2 and sell. Few left here. Otamendi, Oscar.
Otamendi, he's coming to his last. What's the deal with Manchester City?
This is his last year, and they don't pay any portion of his salary.
Salary next year, so that means in September they don't pay.
The season coming, yeah.
So as of September or August, we're paying full salary for him.
Yep.
Fuck. That's a big salary too, right?
It's decent, but I don't think he still wouldn't be higher than Weigl, I believe.
All right. I would give Otamendi a 4, and I'd keep him for one more year just to get the new team going.
I'm giving Otamendi like 4.5. I think Darwin is clear and cut the best player, so I'm not going to give him a 5, but Otto was the heart and soul of that team, especially that back line, and I'm going to say keep.
I agree. 4.5 for me and keep. Yaramchuk, Bill.
2.5 and keep.
Oscar.
I say 3 and keep.
I was between a 2.5 and a 3. I'll say a 2.75. Meet guys in the middle and keep. Rafa Silva, Oscar.
4.7 keep.
Bill.
I'm going to give him a 4, and I'll say keep.
I'll give him a 4 and sell. João Mario, Bill. This is true what Paulo says. Otamendi does fall under a specific tax bracket because he came back to Portugal. I remember reading about it, which gives him a cut on the cost. Good shout, Paulo. Good shout. That's a hot take right there.
Okay. Got fucking tax Tyler here. All right.
Got the IRS on our side.
Legit.
With João Mario.
I forgot who we were talking about. João Mario. 3.4 and I'd keep.
Oscar.
Jean Mario, I'll do a 3 and keep.
Show Mario, I'd say a 3 and keep as well. Jan Vertonghen, Oscar.
What's his situation again? Last year contract?
He has 1 year, I believe. Yeah,
And we're paying full salary already, right?
correct. His contract ends
And
next year.
we signed him. He wasn't on loan or anything.
I think we have to cut ties with one of them, just because Morato is going to stay and we're going to get Verissimo back. I think we should. I'm going to give him a 4. He's phenomenal this year. Thank you, and sell.
I would say 4.5, as I said with Otamendi, and I would say sell as well. Not because we should or we have to, but I think in order to give players like Morato and Lucas Verissimo an opportunity, we need to move someone, and then Tomás Araújo as well. So yeah. I would sell just because of that. Gonçalo Ramos. Did I ask you for yours? Nope. Yeah, you already gave yours.
I didn't. Not for Vertonghen.
Go. Give me Vertonghen.
I mean, I agree. The 4.5. I would love for him to stay, but I think one of those guys have to go to give the younger guys an opportunity. And I think unfortunately he's the one to go.
You can start now, Gonçalo Ramos.
I give him a 3.5, and I would keep him.
Oscar.
Yeah, I think that's a good score. If he had scored goals, I would give him higher, but 3.5 is pretty good score, and I keep.
It's a unanimous one. I agree. I think he should stay. Everton. Oscar. Good night, George. Thanks for joining.
Viva Chaves. So Everton, I would give it 3.4, and I would keep.
Awesome. Bill.
Go like 2.5, and I would sell.
I'm going to give him a 2.75, and I'm still hanging on. I'm going to keep him 1 more year. I'm going to hang on, see if we can at least get something out of him. Final 3. Alejandro Grimaldo, Oscar.
I know it's going to happen, but what I want is to keep him. So I'll do 4.3, keep.
Bill?
Yeah, I'll give him a 4 and keep, but I think he's gone.
Yeah, I would say a 4 as well and sell just because I think he's gone. And he's one of the ones that has market.
What do you want? What do you want is a game, not what do you think is going to happen?
What I want is sell. I would sell because he's not going to renew. I think he's going to. I think Benfica has to sell because
if you live in a perfect world, would you want to get him all to stay?
What could I do? You were just asking when contracts are expiring, and now you're asking me about a perfect world.
Right, but I'm saying.
So why am I in a perfect world, but you weren't?
Just answer like you want him
in a perfect world with no contracts in the equation. I would keep him naturally, but I would sell him. Odysseus, Bill.
I'm going to go 4.3 and keep.
Oscar?
4.5 keep.
I would say 4.5 sell.
Jesus,
if we can get an adequate.
He's going to sell late, and he's going to
sell late and Vlaco?
Yeah, and we're going to go get a different goalie.
I guess he wants to start something well.
We're going to get a different goalie. The way Roger plays.
Mike, that's not the game, man.
It is the game. That's what I want to do. I want to sell him. I've told you guys before. I think he's good, but I don't think
another player in the backup.
Well, we're not talking about who we would go buy. Obviously, if I'm selling these players, I would go buy players in return. This is
what if
just
they don't want to come? You're going to play with a B team?
I'm going to send Rui Pedro Braz there. He's going to go get them. He's good at going to get players.
Leave him in Argentina. Let him figure that one out first.
This guy will leave Benfica in second division if it was up to him.
Yeah.
Back up in mind.
Julian Weigl. Bill. See, Paulo agrees with me. Yes, both of them out.
A 4.2.
3.5
for Weigl, and I'm gonna keep.
Paulo says he doesn't play the way a modern keeper should play. I don't think he fits into how Roger likes to play. He likes to have a goalie that can play from the back, and I don't think Vlaco Dimos or Late offer that. And there's been rumors that he's looking for a goalie. Surprisingly, Bernd Leno was one of them. He's not very good at playing with his feet either.
Christ, dude.
He's for me is a similar Odysseus. He's good between the sticks, but when it comes to his feet, he's not very good. But time will tell.
When he was looking at James from
David James,
yeah.
To
come with, and I'm like,
another
why? Why? Just because they have a name? What the fuck is wrong with these people, dude? That's not how it's supposed to. Oh my god.
Bill, what was your Weigl?
Weigl, I'm gonna give him a 4.3.
I said 4 point. Yeah, 4 point something. I don't remember, but I would keep.
Okay. Oscar, you said 4.3
and keep.
SLB SSL can buy someone better for the money. Paulo says 4 and keep. I 4.5 and keep. I think he could do really good things under Roger Schmidt, both German. I think Roger Schmidt could learn from him, having been here a few years now, knows the language, is accustomed to the culture, knows the league. So I think that he could be a huge piece for Roger Schmidt and him adapting to the culture of the club and the League of the Farsa. Not sure Weigl is the 6 Roger wants. I think he'll be able to fit him in there. But again, time will tell. So that is our rate, keep, sell, and loan. And with that, it finishes off our topics on the agenda. One, I want to thank everyone in the chat that was joining us for the conversation. There was a lot of good feedback, a lot of different names. This basically is the finale of season 2 of Cantinho Benfiquista podcast. Another season, another year without silverware that we were able to celebrate, which is frustrating. If we go 3 years in a row without a title, we're just gonna have to call it quits and stop the podcast. We might be. We'll
record these, save them, and then we'll release them after
we'll actually release them a year later.
Yeah.
It was a fun year. A lot of ups and downs, more downs than ups, unfortunately. But now we will take a break. We'll be back at some point, maybe at the end of June or early July, depending on how things pan out. If we make some signings, if shit gets crazy, if Darwin goes, so we'll have some ad hoc, but we'll plan to return again mid-July with the preparation for Champions League qualification, etc. Gentlemen, we have a few minutes. Any final thoughts before we sign off? Oscar, I'll start with you.
Man, it's been a disappointing season, but I was happy to be here with you guys and suffer together. So so I wasn't suffering by myself.
What's that saying? Misery like company or something like that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. I'm glad I was with you guys, but I hope this off season we actually do the smart thing. I hope this coach, comes in, buy smart, not stupid, wasting money. If they sell Darwin and they get some good cash for him, that they spend it well, not just spiral money like they did the last few years, and hoping that we come into Champions League with a right foot and have a positive season.
Billy, final thoughts?
Yeah, and I agree with what Oscar was saying. I think all we can hope for is a clear and concise plan, and him and the president, or Roger and the president, are on the same page, and pick and choose the right signings and bring these talented youth players through. I mean, we've seen plenty of talent coming through the Seychelles. I think we should have to give them the opportunity on the first team, and hopefully these young kids that have the talent can show it on the first team.
I hope that will be the case. Hopefully it's a better year, more ups and less downs. Hopefully Roger is able to implement his style straight away, and he doesn't get gobbled up by this, media chaos in Portugal and all the politics around it. So hopefully season 3 of our podcast is better. Hopefully season 1 of Roger Schmidt's era at Benfica is a positive. Thank Kenny and Jason as well for being part of the group. They were both unable to make it today, but a key piece to our puzzle here. As always, stay tuned. We'll be updating our social media regardless, but the podcast will take a break. If you have any feedback, suggestions, recommendations for season 3, we'll be back with some new ideas, some fresh content, some different segments for the podcast. But as always, leave us your feedback. Thank you for following us, and have a good night. E Viva Benfica.
Viva.
Boys.